our finest. Pretty good. No, that's the best.
Yeah, he's also an expert in Cuban cigars. You saw that's at the Hanukkah party at the White House. Someone hands him a Cuban cigar. Where it came from, who knows? It's illegal. And he takes one little, pretty good. Yeah, Hank Sheinkopf joins us, political consultant, Newsmax Contributor. Now he's the smartest man in the room also when it comes to Cuban cigars.
Well, look, he's decided that he's going to do what he wants with the powers that he has because he knows he's not going to get much done in Congress. He's going his own way.
But, well, we talked about this this whole Cuban deal the other day, and before we leave the Hanukkah party, I want to put up that one more cut, one more picture, because according to David Sousa of the Jewish Journal, he was invited to this Hanukkah party, and he heard Obama talk to say that in his soul, he's Jewish. Well, right away when I heard soul, just like I spelled the peace process, P-I-E-C-E, because they want to dismantle Israel, P-I-E-C-E, I said soul. He meant it S-O-U-L. I hearken back to the picture on the screen right now where you could see the soles of Obama's feet as he was talking to Netanyahu, and many in Israel and around the world consider that a diss, because in Arab culture that's the biggest diss, showing someone the soles of your feet. Right. So I said, yeah, he's Jewish in his S-O-L-E. Yeah. I mean, what does he mean he's Jewish in his soul? He's the most anti-Israel, if not anti-Jewish president ever.
Well, look, people can say anything they want at any time. People are also not paying attention to what this holiday week is about. Hanukkah is about religious freedom. Considering the United States is a record of light, and not even talking about the Christians being murdered throughout the world, Catholics being abused, the Middle East being made Christian Rhine, except for in the state of Israel, that there's something wrong with that picture.
Yeah.
But it's about religious freedom this week, and we haven't done much to prove the point.
No,
so he really is not Jewish in his soul.
There you go. Okay, now, let's talk about Sony.
Sure.
Here's what scares the heck out of me. First of all, say tomorrow ISIS says, guess what? If you sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl, we're going to mow it down. We're going to blow it up. We're going to kill everybody. So what would they do? Not sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl? I mean, where does this end?
Corporations have no courage. Their souls are basically made of cash. If there's a potential loss of cash, they will duck under a table. That's the way they are.
But they lost $40-something million from this movie.
That's okay. $40 million is a rounding error in Sony's big picture bottom line. Not the question here. The larger question is, can outside enemies, guerrillas, communists, terrorists, you name it, can they attack the very nature of our cyber existence? That's what this brings to the mind, and the likelihood now is that they can. So where are the FBI and everybody else coming up with a plan to help corporations and other entities that rely on cyberspace, okay, which we do more and more every day, to survive against these kind of attacks or to prevent them from happening?
Right, and again, Sony capitulated, the theaters capitulated, Hollywood capitulated, and you talk about where's the FBI, who's now blamed it officially on North Korea.
Right.
I don't know what we do in return to North Korea, but there's been a 35% increase over the past 4 years in cyber attacks against government computers. That includes our infrastructure, I believe,
that's what I keep saying.
Big risk.
The next war to be
electric.
The next war to be thought about is the cyber war. North Korea has proved the point. What's the response to North Korea? Continue to isolate them, which will work.
Except that maybe if they're capable of doing this,
the United States will come up with an appropriate response, and they're capable of doing anything because the people who live in North Korea have no idea what the rest of the world is all about.
No, I know that. But what I'm saying is, and again, I don't know what the answer is. Don't get me wrong. But if we now push, just like we're pushing Putin's back's against the wall, the ruble is falling, the economy's crying, and we're putting more sanctions on him.
I'm not sure that's appropriate.
I don't either.
Why don't you just tell a guy with a gun in his hand to shoot you?
Well, that's what okay. So
I would say when a guy's got a gun in my head, I said, drop dead, boom, that's it.
I'm not saying be nice to him, but you don't want to push the
bear.
bear.
He has nuclear weapons pointed at you. Why don't you just piss him off all the day?
And now we find out that North Korea, according to our own intelligence, had people in this country ready to hit our nuclear sites if they wanted them to. And now North Korea, if we put more sanctions on them, what if they say, all right, we're going to shut down their electric grid? So what do you do? How far do you push North Korea?
The world is no longer a safe neighborhood. And when you don't live in a safe neighborhood, you do whatever you have to do.
So maybe we disable North Korea's infrastructure first?
That's a possibility. But the question is, how does that fit in a long-term strategic plan? What do the Chinese want? It's not so simple. Remember, this administration has made a decision to create linkage with China.
And China pulls the strings at North Korea.
So the way to get there is to get the Chinese to do an agreement with the United States, that's more significant and get North Korea as part
Does
of it.
all this show that foreign relations and which is never a big deal in presidential elections, is
Never.
it going to play a bigger role than ever come 2016?
I think we said in this program some weeks back that only when Americans are directly impacted, i.e. Dwight Eisenhower, Korean War, he won that election. Why? Based upon, Ike will go to Korea. There was a great ad. What happened in this past midterm? The pictures on video, on computers, showing on television, showing Americans having their heads taken off in public tends to have an impact. Then it becomes personal. But generally, foreign affairs do not have an impact. What this is really about is President Obama's legacy on one hand, and if he's thinking about Democrats at all, it's showing some actual accomplishment, because there ain't been much.
I could write his legacy. I'll let you see it before I publish it.
I'd like to see it.
Hank Sheinkopf, thank you.
What language will it be?
All
Esperanto?
languages. All languages. Next, Joe Connor. Don't miss this one.